Sara Hsu joins me now from Beijing. She's an associate professor of economics at the State University of New York at New Paltz. So, Sara, let's begin with a very basic question here. So, when it comes to these type of educational partnerships, what is the win-win for the students and what's the win-win for the universities?
Right, so both of them get something out of it. The students get the experience of going abroad and learning about a new culture, different ways of viewing the area that they're focusing on. And the university also is able to expand its soft power in another nation. And this helps it to gain visibility, especially when it partners with more prestigious institutions.
So how do universities determine which other schools would be a good fit to cooperate with their programs and research? Because it's not just soft power, it's also about getting things done, right?
It is, and so studies have shown that actually a lot of it is dependent on personal relationships, and secondly on the prestige of the institution. So one institution in a home country will partner with an institution abroad in order to gain that visibility, and from that point on, it attempts to build its reputation and its cooperation in order to build up its scientific advances and range of ideas.
We heard some examples in our last story, collaboration with AI, tech, and intellectual manufacturing. What are some other areas showing growth when it comes to this type of cooperation? Is it mostly tech and sciences, or are there other areas of cooperation?
Well, cooperation has actually grown in all areas, according to many studies. Two of the major areas in the sciences that are growing, besides high tech, include soil sciences, in an attempt to improve the status of agriculture, and also virology, the study of viruses, in an international attempt to reduce the impact of AIDS, HIV, and other types of viruses.
And it's not just Europe and Asia, Europe and China, but from the U.S. standpoint, we see that Duke University has a long presence in China. Peking University has partnerships with Yale, Stanford, and Cornell. What about concerns in recent months about the impact of the U.S.-China trade war and how it could affect these partnerships?
Right, so a lot of people have been concerned about students being rejected in terms of their visas. I think the universities themselves are very forward-thinking, and they tend to understand that there's no backtracking on the globalization process, and they're not interested in retracting from other countries. But it's the visa process, especially in the United States, and potentially the ramifications in China of students not being able to travel back and forth. So that's a major concern at this moment.
So let's look into the future. Worst case scenario, if we did see something like that happen, what kind of impact would that have on these exchanges and partnerships? Would they be at a standstill, basically?
Well, I think that it could really have a negative impact on these types of partnerships. And as a result, specifically for China, China is looking outside of U.S. and other countries, traditional countries, for partnerships. And it's focusing on countries that are on the One Belt, One Road regions in order to build partnerships with those other countries. So there could be a potential retrenchment from the U.S.-China relationship, but it seems that China's international partnerships are still going strong.
And any partnerships that you know of that have been a particular success, or ones that we should look to as a good example?
Sure. So Peking University has a One Belt, One Road partnership with institutions in those regions, and it has been viewed as a very important partnership in terms of understanding what One Belt, One Road is and expanding upon the infrastructure buildup in those areas and the relationship itself.
And you got all those young people working together. Sara Hsu, always great to hear your take. Thank you for joining us from Beijing.